This episode is sponsored by Smart Travel, a new podcast from NerdWallet. Before you book that next trip, it's worth asking a few smarter questions. Things like, does that travel card really justify its high annual fee? And when do points actually deliver strong value? Or all of those flight deals that we just found really as good as they look? Smart Travel looks at those kind of decisions behind the booking with clear reporting from NerdWallet's writers and journalists so you can travel with more confidence. Travel smarter and spend less with help from NerdWallet. Follow Smart Travel wherever you get your podcasts.
This is a Voyescape podcast. You can find all of our travel podcasts from around the world at voyescape.com.
It's a metropolis that's so huge, complex, and nuanced that we felt it needed three separate segments. This one might be our favorite. David, I know you and I both love talking about food, and today we're going to cover the culinary scene in Mexico City. You've got some thoughts.
Yeah, it is really one of the world's great food capitals. And I think when people think of Mexico City, maybe the first thing that jumps to mind is the great street food scene there. And street tacos are an essential part of that. And I mean, it is very easy to find a great lunch for under $1 US per person. One of the best tacos I had was 85 cents when I was there and had to line up around the corner to get it. But what surprised me about the culinary scene at Mexico was on the other end of the spectrum, the high-end sort of fine dining scene in Mexico City, which was incredible. Multiple Michelin-starred restaurants all throughout the city, Michelin-recognized chefs. It is a really booming, dynamic, and really sophisticated food scene in the city.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, it really is a city where, as you've said, you can find a cheap but still wonderfully delicious lunch and then go to a Michelin-starred a place for dinner. So anything you could imagine you'll find there. And actually, I want to just maybe dive in and just start on that low end in terms of price, not necessarily in terms of taste. Tacos El Pastor. I mean, the signature taco of Mexico City. And as you said, you can find them pretty much everywhere. And I did a little bit of research, and when I first went to Mexico City, I thought this really looks like a place that you'd find in the Middle East. And that's not surprising because the meat that is on a spit and roasted like shawarma, that tradition was brought to Mexico from Lebanon. So basically they took this kind of spit roast technique, imported it, and then adapted it to a Mexican taco. And that's what Tacos El Pastor is. And, I couldn't name the number of places that I just popped in and grabbed one. I mean, it's perfect if you're on the fly. It's perfect, if you've been out late, you're looking for a quick bite. But there is one area of the city. It's called Lorenzo Buttarini Street. And for 12 blocks, the taco corridor, they call it, is just lined with Tacos El Pastor places. And so you can definitely take your pick there. So if you're looking for the signature taco, that's the place to go. But that's for a quick, easy meal. One of the other places to go for a great meal is a market. And I know we were discussing before the episode one of your favorite markets in the city. And I have a favorite too that I want to follow up with.
Yeah, I went to a bunch of markets when we were there, but probably from a food perspective, the one that I enjoyed the most was called Mercado de San Juan. This is famous for a great place to get all your core ingredients for Mexican cuisine, chilies and spices and different specialty ingredients, including an extensive section of different types of insects even that you can get. A wide variety here, but the food was fantastic. And when it comes to street tacos, I mean, the tacos were great at the market. There's even a few Michelin recommended taco stands throughout the city, although talking to a couple of local food writers and travel writers, they all said the same thing, which was the Michelin recognized taco stands are great and you'll have a great meal there. But there's just as good of places on almost every street corner. You don't necessarily need to go to your way and stand in the lineup at the Michelin-starred taco stand. I mean, my rule of thumb was look for somewhere that's got fresh carved meat and a lineup of construction workers and policemen and people who work in the neighborhood. That's the right place. And I followed that pretty religiously on my trip and did not have a bad taco experience as a result.
And I think that's a great tip, really, in general for travel. If you see a big group of local people eating in a place, if it's busy and it's busy with working people are going to be hungry. They're working hard, right? They're going to eat at the best places and they're going to keep going back to the best places. So you can be almost sure that it's going to taste good. B, nobody's getting food poisoning there, because nobody's going back for a second meal after that. So definitely, I love to look for the same kind of thing. My market recommendation is a little bit weird, I guess I'll say. It's Central des Abastos, which is a commercial market. It's the largest wholesale food market in the world. It covers 800 acres. And it's used by between merchants, sellers, and buyers, 100,000 people every single day that go to this market. And it's not the kind of market that you're going to go, and browse and just kind of walk around. It's a busy, speaking of blue collar workers, it's a busy, hardworking place where people are running wheelbarrows full of chicharron, through the back, and just food stall after food stall after food stall. People mostly buying ingredients for restaurants, for supermarkets. This is kind of the entry point for that. And it may seem like a strange place to visit as a tourist, but they do tours here. My visit there was a while ago, and it was with the chef from the St. Regis Hotel, which we're going to talk about hotels in a different episode. And we went at like 7:00 in the morning when it was at its busiest. And I remember we walked in there and he just turned to me and he said, taco time, 7:00 in the morning. And we went and found a taco place inside the Central des Abastos. So they do offer tours that you can book. You wouldn't book it through the market, you book it through a third party, and people have licenses to take you through. And it's just kind of the beating heart of the culinary scene in Mexico City. So absolutely loved, despite the early morning, absolutely loved my visit there. Yeah. And I know we were talking a little bit about the high end of restaurants, and I know that you have a couple of thoughts on great places to go for like a 5-star meal.
Yeah, there are lots of them. And I mean, we've talked about in our last episode, Roma and Condesa, those two neighborhoods and some of the great restaurants all throughout. One specific area that I found a ton of great restaurants around was called Plaza Rio de Janeiro. It has a beautiful water fountain in the middle of the plaza. I mean, it looks like Central Park. It's a beautiful park. But the entire park then is surrounded by high-end restaurants and a number of Michelin-starred and Michelin-recognized restaurants all in the periphery. There was a place called Pujol. There's a place called Sud 777, another Michelin-starred standout. There was this great high-end steakhouse with white glove service, and all the waiters all in tuxedos and things dressed up there, right overlooking the plaza as well. A great Italian restaurant called Cafe Toscano there. Just if you can get yourself to the plaza itself, you're going to find a good meal in the surrounding area, and then the blocks around it. Multiple Michelin-starred restaurants all throughout that neighborhood. So no shortage of great places there. How about yourself? What did you find at that end of the spectrum?
Well, I love this place called Azul Historico, and it's a chef who basically has taken his favorite comfort food dishes, Mexican comfort food dishes, and then elevated them. It's in this 17th century building that now, I'm sure it didn't when it was first built, but now has a retractable roof. So on nights when it's not raining, it's an open air dining experience. And again, the chef is a history buff, so he's gone back and found a lot of classic Mexican recipes. And he cooks them up pretty inexpensively. You can have dinner for about $50 per person, so not high necessarily on the spending scale, but a very high quality meal. You can have guacamole, you can have cochinita pibil, you can have black mole, which is that Oaxacan classic. All kinds of really excellent classic Mexican cuisine. And I'm just going to mention one more place, which is called Contramar, which is a favorite for people who love seafood. So they serve only fresh fish, and it's only fish that's caught on the day when it's served. And again, a couple of quick recommendations: sautéed shrimp tacos. I know we talked a lot about tacos, but still. And then, just getting a whole grilled fish with a red adobo rub. Really simple, but when it's fresh like that, it's just mouth-watering and amazing. But those are my recommendations. Do you have any more thoughts?
Yeah, maybe two can't misses. I'll end this out with, which is I talked to a local who worked for kind of the equivalent of Vogue magazine in Mexico, and I was asking her about her favorite restaurants. She said, if you want to go somewhere like really authentic that local people love, not expensive, her recommendation was a place called Casa de Tona, which is known for pozole, which is a famous sort of Mexican soup/stew, a pork dish, but you can add all kinds of things to it. It comes with kind of checklist where you select all the things that you want to add to your pozole. They've got locations all throughout the city. It's open late into the night, and you will find it packed with Mexico City locals. And I followed her recommendation, and it was a great one. So definitely would call that out. And then the last one was, again, more of an area to go to rather than a specific restaurant, but a place called Plaza Giordano Bruno. Again, we're in the Roma neighborhood here. This is surrounded by a lot of like churro stands, taco shops. It's got a nice little street food stand kind of in the middle of the plaza, but it's also a place where you get a lot of live local music. So maybe to end today's episode, we'll finish things off with a little bit of the live recording of some of the sounds of what you would experience in Plaza Giordano Bruno.
Travel doesn't always go to plan, and that's where the best stories live. Welcome to the Winging It Travel podcast, where you don't just hear about travel, you feel it. I'm James Hammond, and I'm podcasting my own journeys from the road, sharing immersive soundscape episodes that drop you right into the moment, from busy streets to remote mountains. Along the way, I sit down with local people and fellow travelers to tell honest stories about life, culture, and chase an adventure beyond the routine. No filters, no fake perfection, just stories to tell, tips to share, and experiences to inspire. Search Winging It Travel Podcast on any podcast app, and let's wing it.
Hi, I'm Mike Siegel, and man, oh man, do I love talking about travel. You think I'd get enough of it touring the world as a stand-up comedian, or just going off on my own personal adventures around the world? No, when I get home, I still have to talk about it. That's how much I love travel. So every week I sit down with a friend, a travel expert, influencer, expat, or anyone from any walk of life who shares my passion for travel. So if you want to hear a fun, casual, off-the-cuff chat about travel from people who love it, listen to the Travel Tales podcast with me, Mike Siegel, wherever you get your podcasts.